At the end of school, I had a choice to go either into energy or into the chocolate industry. What does Spirit Energy do, and what is your role? Spirit Energy is an energy transition company. We're involved in production today, bringing energy security of low carbon intensity gas production, predominantly in the Irish Sea, but also in the southern North Sea, including a small part of our business being in the Netherlands. So we're in the UK and the Netherlands. What we're also doing is working hard to repurpose our Irish Sea assets, and they will be Britain's largest carbon store. So we hope to do that in a seamless energy transition over the next 5 to 10 years. And my role is as CEO. I've been with the business now just under 8 years, and as CEO for about 3.5 of those years. How is Spirit Energy taking advantage of the opportunities presented by carbon capture and the transition? Spirit Energy is really one of the market leaders in terms of the energy transition in general, but also carbon capture or carbon capture and storage, the storage part of it in particular. So we're the operator and developer of Morecambe Net Zero, or MNZ for short. It's developing a gigaton store out in the Irish Sea, and we hope that will be in business very early the next decade, serving initially customers from the cement industry, so a very important industry to abate. And so we'll be taking 3 to 4 million tonnes per annum from the Peak cluster just south of Manchester and Sheffield, taking it up to the Irish Sea by pipeline, and then storing it for geological time under the Irish Sea safely and keeping it out of Earth's atmosphere. If you were PM, what 3 things would you change to ensure a just transition takes place? Quite a big fan of The Rest is Politics, and they talk about the 3 Ps, and one of those Ps is polarisation. And I think I would set out a stall where there was less polarisation. I know as PM you can't control that, but you can influence that the debate is less polarised. So less of good and bad. The definition of clean energy sort of says non-renewable energy is dirty or bad. And what I would try and do is just have an energy system that provides energy security today and net zero tomorrow. The good news is there's a department with exactly that title, and I would just put my shoulder behind them as hard as possible. Secondly, I'm a big fan of Dieter Helm, so Professor Dieter Helm of Oxford University. He writes some great stuff, and his central thought is it should be a demand-led transition. So you try and eliminate the demand for fossil hydrocarbons and replace them as demand subsides for fossil fuels with the different energy system that's being designed. So I wouldn't sack the industry. I would make it redundant over a couple of or 3 decades. And I think that's really important. The third thing is I would listen very, very carefully to the Climate Change Committee. They've done brilliant work since they were set up. So there's a lot of good evidence-based research, which puts a very compelling recipe out there for what the energy transition should look like, and it includes in there the transition away from hydrocarbons and how that should look. So I think the hard work has been done. It's just kind of putting those 3 things together and coming up with the policies that would make that more certain. What does the energy sector here offer the next generation of workers? Well, I think it offers the same that it has for the last I'd say we're probably into generation 4 of working in this sector. So the sector's been around since the 60s, repurposing people from heavy industry, shipbuilding, chemicals industries that used to exist. And I think it offers the same exciting prospects. So really high value jobs, nationally significant jobs, a career profile that can start you as an apprentice or a graduate, it doesn't really matter these days, and give you a very fulfilling career. It also allows you to work on the world stage. I've worked overseas in my career, and I think now with all the things that are there in terms of the energy transition, it can offer decades of really meaningful employment as we go through that. So yeah, I think it's an exciting and broad sector, and I think it's got a bright future. Having worked all around the world, how does the sector here compare? Well, having worked in other countries, you hear British and often Scottish accents. And what we've done is perfected things at home and then exported them abroad to great advantage. And I think that can still be the case. We are a world leader in energy, and that includes thought leadership, policy leadership. So I think there's a real chance that we will still be hearing those British accents all around the world, exporting what happens through the energy transition. I think still of the GN countries, I think it's G7 they quote these days, we still punch well above our weight, and I think that's something that we should preserve. Our academic institutions are world class, our workforce is world class, and we have a supply chain which is, for a country as small as ours, again is world class, punching well above its weight. How would you describe your management style? I think it's really for others to describe my management style. I know how I experience myself. And I describe myself as a physicist inside an engineer, inside a leader, and inside a great industry. So I am quite analytical in the way I think about things, but I think I can apply that analytical nature through people to the wider challenges that we have in our business today. In terms of energy security, it's trying to find new ways to get life out of now maturing assets, and I think that's an underestimated challenge. It's one I really enjoy. And then also applying that analytical approach to how we cement the future and address the climate emergency. So it's great to be, at the moment, to have opportunities to do both those things. Every day's a school day, though, and you can always be a better manager. And I think since becoming CEO of Spirit Energy, I've learned to listen a bit better and just pull hard from the great team that I have around me. How easy or difficult has it been for you to climb the ladder since starting out as a trainee engineer? I was really lucky at school. I had a great careers teacher, and she opened my eyes to the possibilities that existed in first becoming a chemical engineer. I later became a petroleum engineer, and before, during and after university, I worked in a great company called British Gas, which had come out of government ownership but was newly privatised. And in some ways, I'm back working for them as Centrica or Spirit Energy's major shareholder. So the assets I work on in the Irish Sea first set foot on when I was 19 years old, just about to go to university. The advice I always give to young people is be good at something, be really good at something before you try to go up in terms of hierarchy. And I really invested a lot of effort early in my career into being the best engineer I could be. And then, later it's about being the best leader that I can be. So I wouldn't say it's been easy. I've just been incredibly fortunate with the opportunities that were given me. But if I hadn't had that conversation with that careers teacher, then I might be in a different place. So I'm really glad that I met her. If you weren't in energy, what would you be doing? Just building on my last answer about how I got here. At the end of school, I had a choice to go either into energy, gas production, or nuclear energy, or into the chocolate industry. So I guess if I hadn't chosen energy at age 19, then I'd probably be in the chocolate industry right now, or food. But I think I made a really, really good choice. So I do eat chocolate, but I'm just happier that I am providing a bigger service to society and keeping us warm and safe, and not eating chocolate. How do you unwind when not in the office? Two main ways. I love spending time with my kids. They're all adults or nearly adults now, so it's good to see them flourishing as humans and carving their path. And then I'm also a very keen cyclist, so I love to get out on the bike. Very fortunate to live in a beautiful part of the world. Here in Aberdeen, and so just it's great getting out, particularly at the weekends, and seeing what's around and spending time with friends. I read quite a bit, and I'm an avid digester of podcasts. So I spend many an hour listening to podcasts. If I cycle indoors, that's also an opportunity to catch up on what's happening in the world. Is it a rowie or a buttery, and how do you take it? I have to admit, I have not partaken of one of those delicacies. I think I would say it would be a buttery. But yeah, I prefer less beige carbohydrates these days. But yeah, if it was a rowie or a buttery, I'd probably go for a buttery.